is a guy who is a husband, he's a son, a father, brother-in-law, brother, and uncle. And that's my brother-in-law, Bobby, who right now is over in Iraq, taking care of us. And I ask that everybody remember to bring him home and all the troops home safely from Iraq and to restore peace over there. Next is a guy that we've missed for way too long, and that's my father-in-law, Sharon's dad. Sharon and my mother-in-law made their kids what they are. Sharon, her brother, her sisters, the people that they are today. And last but not least, I want to remember Cindy's mom, who Cindy lost last year. Keep these people in your mind. They're here with us in spirit, even though they're not here with us this evening. Oh boy.
Here it comes.
I had an email about 2 weeks ago that said, hey, would you like to say a couple of words? After I scratched my head for a while, I thought, sure. There's a third of the people in this room right now that are thinking to themselves, where the hell were their heads when they thought to get him to do this? Table over here, my kids, well, 2 of them are missing, but the table over here, my kids right now are thinking, oh, God, I hope he doesn't embarrass us. But we know he will. Over here at this table, my wife sits at this table, and she's thinking, God, I hope he doesn't see. The rest of the Edwards clan, and the Rourke clan, and the Costello clan, again, is thinking, where the hell were their heads asking him to say something? Now, this table over here is really interesting, because I'm sure right now in their minds, they're blaming one another for asking me to speak, and trying to figure out how they can, what's going to happen. And Cindy is just hoping I keep my clothes on. I still think it's unfair that I have to wear a swimming suit in your jacuzzi. So, see? All right, well, I have known Sharon for 26 years now. She is not just a sister-in-law to me, she is a dear friend. We have painted more stuff than I care to paint. Sharon has this thing about painting 2 coats of paint in the closet. I tried to get her to come out of the closet for years. But it just didn't work. But I'm going to do a show of hands right now, and that is Cindy and Sharon complement each other very well. Sharon is doing her best to turn Cindy into a rebel. Now, how many people that knew Cindy from years ago ever thought she would fire a gun, much less own a gun? Raise your hands. Raise your hands if you really thought that she would, own one, much less fire. And how many of you thought that she would ride on a motorcycle, much less own a motorcycle? Again. Sharon, on the other hand, how many of the people that know her ever thought she would willingly go to New York City with anybody? And better yet than that, how many of you thought she would actually go to a Broadway play in New York City? Because Cindy is trying to get her to have some culture. But really, the Sharon has been a very dear friend. She is one of the most kind-hearted people I know. She will do anything for you. Everybody that meets her loves her. I love her. She is more like a sister to me than a sister-in-law. We've had great fun. And the point I'm trying to make is that Cindy and Sharon complement each other. Cindy, they get along great. They're wonderful together. They're happy together. You see it every time you see them. This part here I was kind of a little bit worried about saying is, for years coming up with Sharon, for the last 26 years, it was always interesting how I would introduce my sister-in-law or whoever she was, dating at the time. It's not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of people out there that are prejudiced. They're prejudiced to that. They don't, and you have to go through it. Well, tonight, I know how I'm going to introduce Cindy, and that's as my sister-in-law. She is, I've got a lot of great sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws. They're all wonderful. I don't have any complaints with any of them. And Cindy will make a wonderful addition to our family, and I'm just happy to call her my sister-in-law this evening.
Thank you, Joe.
Cindy and Sharon.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight. On behalf of Cindy and Sharon, we'd like to welcome you to tonight. About a year and a half ago, Cindy had said to me, I'm going to have this commitment ceremony. And I remember thinking, wow, that's fantastic. I mean, I don't really know what that is, but I was nervous. So I said, that's great, we support you. And I thought, it'll be like a wedding, which it is. So about a month ago, I get a phone call, and she says, by the way, do you ever see that movie with Patrick Dempsey? And I'm thinking, I just saw that movie. That's where he's like a maid of honor for the woman, because, it's her best friend. And I thought, Sam, that's a great movie. And I thought, oh, shit, that's me. So she said, listen, I think you'll be great. It's not a big deal. And I thought, well, I've never been a best man. It's from a man of honor. But I think it's really cool. So if I had to do it, I'm glad I did it today. I'd rather do this than be a best man. About a week and a half ago, she calls me again and says, by the way, would you mind getting up and doing a speech? And I thought, oh, shit. And I said, what do you mean, like hand out awards kind of a speech? No, I also like a toast. No, just get up and be funny. And I thought, oh, shit. So I can only think of a couple things to say. So I've been practicing for a couple of weeks. What would I talk about? How am I going to get everybody engaged? So I talked to a couple of friends, and I talked to my lovely wife, Cynthia, and I said, Cynthia, what should I do? What should I talk about? And she goes, well, talk from the heart. But she goes, go on Toastmasters.com. You can look something up. So I go on Toastmasters, and they don't have shit. Okay? So I say, Cyn, I got nothing. She goes, wow. I'm just glad I'm not you. So I tell one of my buddies, my business partner, I said, dude, I've got to do this speech, and I'm going to be the man of honor. He goes, that's cool. And I got to give a speech. He goes, man, I think that's awesome. I said, I think it is too. But I said, why do you think it's awesome? He goes, dude, who doesn't love lesbians? I was worried about that last one. I'm going to step it back. A couple of stories about Cindy and Sharon. My sister, if you haven't noticed, is very detailed and extremely focused for something like this. Take a deep breath, it's almost done. So, my sister's always been adventurous, and I've always been concerned about it because, I'm going to be honest, a little klutzy sometimes, a little gappy. Sometimes you're out there, you lose your concentration and your focus, and it scares me a little bit. When you said you were going to get a motorcycle, I thought, oh shit. Well, you said, well, Sharon has one. Oh, Sharon will teach you. Thank God. That's not big. When you were going to get the boat, I said, you can't drive a boat. But Sharon will teach you. Sharon will drive. But I thought, thank God she'll drive the boat. But when you got the gun, I thought, because sometimes when you gap a little bit, if you got a gun, I said, what if you shoot Sharon? Who's going to But so, having said all that, Sharon, I'm thrilled you're in Cindy's life. And a quick story about Sharon. The first time I met her, I think it was about 2 years ago. I have two little kids. Now they're 4 and 9, but at the time my son was 2, 2.5. And you know how sometimes your own kids are a pain in the ass and you can barely tolerate your own kids? When Sharon came to the house, she was so warm to my son. I mean, for 3 days. And I thought, okay, it's nice for a couple hours because he is a pain in the ass. But even the next day and Sunday and Monday, I mean, he just adored her, talked about her, and I'll never forget it. She's the most honest, sincere, and one of the most wonderful people that I have ever met. I salute you. In closing, I thank everybody for coming. I hope you're having a great time. Sharon, I'm glad as hell you're part of our family because my sister needs all the help she can get. Thanks, guys. Salute.
Thanks.
Good job, man.